lot of work with up there, and they've been dear hearts to us in this whole process. I called to ask them a question about the complexities of, taking care of mom and getting her back here and stuff like that, and they said they hadn't come in yet, and the minute that they rolled in, Leslie Collins Duncan, who I work with a lot there as well, picked up the phone and said, "Is anyone handling this?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you want me to handle it?" I said, "It's complex, I don't know what to do." She says, "It's taken care of," and that was the end of that. And then I said, only if you will allow me to have two of the gentlemen from the staff come down and be the directors and everything, because I know how wonderful their work is. And Kent and Landon have been with John Ireland forever and a day. Kent's Air Force retired veteran as well, and it wouldn't have been anywhere near as beautiful and as seamless and so I'll spare them the requirement for introducing themselves, but for all of you who know and don't know, and most of you do, so I'll make it brief. I'm Chris Rogers. I'm the oldest son of Martha Wilson. I actually got to see my mom about 2.5 weeks ago or so. Was down there, had the privilege of being able to have some time with her, with my cousin Rita, and seeing my Uncle John as well. You guys all know the history behind me, and if you don't, shh, don't tell, okay? So, Greg?
Well, I'm Greg Wilson. I live here in town. I've always lived here in town. That's what I did.
Martha's youngest son.
The younger son.
I live in the same house, same street,
Me too.
everything.
Since Lisa?
Yeah, I'm Lisa Fiddler. I'm Martha's niece.
She's the maniac.
I was gonna say something so y'all can hear what, so that you can hear what Martha's supposed to sound like.
Oh.
She's my Aunt Martha.
Yeah.
We have moose and bear in Maine. But you only see them if you drive your car out into the woods to find them.
And when she said that to me a while ago, I said, "Molson beer, I'm familiar with that." She said, "No, moose and bear." So I don't know if I had somewhere else. Tristan?
I'm Tristan. Martha was my grandmother. I'm Tristan's daughter. I'm the oldest.
Beautiful oldest daughter.
Kelly? Journalist?
Kelly.
Yeah, I'm at OU right now for journalism. Granddaughter of Martha, and that's my dad.
Mr. Sir, Mr.?
I'm Kyle. I'm a sophomore in high school. I was grandchild to Martha, and this is my dad.
I'm cousin Kathy.
Stand up.
Chris is my cousin, Charles
can't
is my
see you.
cousin, Donna's my cousin. Hi cousins. And this is my captain and on the crew, Bill Finn, my husband.
Just sit right there. The Gilligan's Island too.
Okay. Oh, you can say that. Bill Finn.
I'm Richard, and this is my wife Sherry Putman, and Martha was my aunt, my mother's sister-in-law.
Matthew. I know you don't speak much often, but
Video game.
I'm Matthew, and I'm Greg's son, and
Video gamer.
yeah, I'm a video gamer, and I currently work at McDonald's.
Are you good at math?
Yes.
he's a good computer tech too. He's got good mentorship over here.
I'm Laura. I'm Greg's oldest daughter. I currently graduated out of high school, and I'm going to ECU in the fall.
With honors, I might add.
And this is Cody. This is my boyfriend.
Welcome to the world. Don't let them fool you.
I'm Floyd. I'm a lifetime friend of Greg Wilson. I got to know Martha over about 6-9 months a few years ago. She's a great lady. This is my girlfriend, Chandra. This is my daughter, Sarah.
He used to live with us, and him and Mom would hang out in the garage and
Greg, please don't tell that story.
watch some wonderful YouTube videos together.
Yes.
Mom was
We swapped a lot of stories.
a lot of stories.
And chuckle, because that's all I heard when I'd call him.
Yeah.
Back there in the back, hiding behind the flowers.
That's my wife, Becky. I'm Robert. I'm Greg's cousin. Grew up there when we was going to school together. We supposed to graduate at the same time. Instead, he left and went to Kingston because he said it was easier. Always stayed over, played video games with him, stayed the nights over plenty number of times. Went to the military in '97, Navy, a CB. Got out in '05, come back home, got out of California. It's a bad place, I won't go back. I was stationed on Coronado Island. I was out there with the SEALs. Come back home, now I have 3 kids, all teenagers, 15, 16, and 17. And hopefully I can raise them the way Greg's mom raised us when we were growing up. Do it the best I can and keep them straight and out of trouble.
You can tell he didn't retire from the Navy because Robert doesn't have this thing going on.
We get 8 years is long enough.
Over in the corner.
I'm Fidela Garcia. I've been neighbors to Martha for 24 years. And she was always a great neighbor, very friendly. I met her through the church. I cut her hair at times. And the one thing I know about her is that she was very strong, hard-headed, and very willful. If she didn't like something, she said, Fidela, I'm going to take care of that.
I'm Star. I've been friends with Greg for years, and Martha and my mother were really good friends. So that's about it.
That's right.
So look at her. She's ducking.
No, I'm camera person.
Except for I can't see him.
With the Fuller Bush convention down the hall. I'm David Maxey, my wife, Mary Lynn. Martha was married to my cousin Ronald.
And do you have a host room down the hall in your convention?
Yes.
Hospitality room?
But the food and the laughter sounded better here, so I
Touche. Angela.
So I'm Angela Rogers, and no one really knows me. They all know me as Charlie's wife. So I'll just be Charlie's wife. But here's the thing, I'm recently retired from the Department of Defense. I'm recently retired, and so I look forward to getting to know all of you more now than I've been able to in the past. And I have a funny story about Martha, I would quickly say. Martha came to my house one time, told you this. Martha came to my house one time and she said, let's put on some fake eyelashes. And so I said, okay, why not? And so I glued every one of hers on there so carefully, and they were gorgeous, you know. She was doing this all day. And then she glued all of mine on. And then 3 days I couldn't get them off. 3 days. She used so much glue, it tore my eyelashes out. But she was gorgeous. But that's the funniest thing I remember about Martha. Martha was playful. If anybody ever wonders, Martha was very playful, and we had a lot of fun together.
She was full of shenanigans.
Yes.
The Irish.
The Irish, which probably was part Scottish, which, yeah.
Sure.
I'm Charlie Rogers, and Martha was my sister-in-law, as I think you probably all know by now. I wanted to tell a lot of stories about Aunt Martha, but I thought better of it because I got some admonition from the religious side of this ceremony that said, be careful what you say. I'm paraphrasing. The first time I met Martha, Ronnie was in Maine, he was stationed in Maine. They got married before any of us ever even laid eyes on her, okay? So they are coming down, we lived in Hennessy, Oklahoma, they're coming down, we're laying eyes on her for the first time. First impression of Martha was, she is intimidating and willful, and when she got mad, her eyes tend to glow red, okay, reddish brown. And when she, well, when she got that way, you started going somewhere else, okay? There was only one person in her entire life that I know of that ever intimidated her, and it was my dad. Who never said anything. He was the nicest guy, You know, he never corrected her. He never said anything bad about her. But for some reason, now, on our side of the family, he had a special name. We called him Papa Wolf. So perhaps his reputation preceded him. I don't know. But I will tell you this. Martha walked on eggshells around my dad. Go figure.
I am Donna Dorman. Martha was married to my oldest brother. And they didn't get to spend a long time together, but maybe now they can.
Eternity. God bless.
Amen. You still got to do.
You still gotta do
Don't
it.
you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. No.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna
Oh,
do
that worked. Oh, my goodness.
For all
Okay, I am Annette Anderson, and so I am a cousin of a cousin. I don't even know what number.
We're cousins.
What number is it? Okay, we're cousins. We're cousins. I grew up at all the reunions. I remember a lot of you all getting in trouble. I remember some haylofts getting into itchy, hide and go seek and all that kind of stuff, and riding horses at my grandparents' place and stuff like that. But some of the Lake Texoma reunions is where I remember Martha and all the women, and busy your mom. So anyway, I'm just grateful I could be here, and I'm representing my family.
Grateful you're here.
We're glad that you came. I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, I know.
Heather, you're not going to escape from us, but
Yes,
hi,
sir.
Charlie.
My name's Heather Romero Borges. Aunt Martha was my aunt. I love her and miss her. I had the epiphany to move to California and missed out on a lot of my family being there, but I do remember getting in trouble at the family reunions a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, we have some photo evidence of that later.
It wasn't my fault. Somehow I got blamed.
Bad influences.
Evil was Chucky's fault.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I saved her.
Don't you regret that on occasions?
That's what he said in the hallway.
Curly, don't start telling stories, but I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just saying that bacon could have stayed on you.
My Aunt Martha told me something that has been my biggest lesson that I still learn and try to remind myself all the time. She told me that you don't have to receive an apology to forgive. And it really meant so much.
And that was in her heart. I don't think she ever hated anybody for more than a couple minutes, unless you rekindled that hate. And where's Greg? He acts right now. We pushed the button just to see if it was still hot. Yes, it was.
And she blessed you.
Better for it. All the blessings I got.
My name is Sally Ann Milford, and this is my husband, Laryl, and Martha was married to my cousin, Ronnie. And she was responsible for getting my mother to do volunteer work at the hospital here in Medill. But the most important thing that she did for me is when my mother passed away last year, and we were very, very busy and trying to get things together, she came down there to Watts and just gave me a big hug, and she says, I don't want Aunt Sarah to be by herself. And she stayed there for 6 hours and sat with her.
Laura, you're just going to pass on it since she introduced you? That's just good enough. You are Gunn Smith for old days.
I would be curly hair. What a name. And like that, you can imagine all the heckling I got, but I would say this. It's close enough. Anyway, yeah. But Aunt Martha was a special lady. Many times I went over to Chris's house and we tried to get in all the trouble we could get into over there. And she kept us on the straight and narrow, trust me.
You know, she did bless us from time to time, and, you know, it was always in the right direction, like running from her to get to the But anyway, all I can say is,
That fly swatter hurt.
yeah. Yeah, she had a special fly swatter. I think it had a name, but I don't know what it was, because I was always running away.
It said Big Tex on it.
You were up close.
You got way too close.
But I was blessed to have known her and her be a part of our family here.
And curly hair was actually that when he was younger, because my mom used to ask me time and time again, she goes, why does he have that stupid toboggan on his head all the time? So Curly, wanting to have straight hair and not be the epitome of the joke of the name, he'd wet his hair and wash it in the morning, and he'd comb it down straight, and then he'd put the toboggan on so it would dry that way, and then we took the toboggan on, and it's as straight as it is today. But my mom, every time she'd see him, she'd go, now tell me again, why does he have that stupid toboggan on his head? Aunt Mary?
I'm Mary Rogers Putman. Ronnie was my brother. I really liked Martha. I wish that Ronnie and Martha had have had more time together, but
Amen.
things don't work out like that. But I'll always remember, and I talked to her. Was it Mother's Day we were over at your house? And you called Florida?
Actually, Chris called me, and
Okay.
I think it was Mother's Day.
Anyway, I got to ask her how she was, and she asked me how I was, and we both said okay, of course. But I'll miss her.
Uncle Bill.
I'm her other half.
He's a Putman now.
And been here in Medill forever. Most of the families, the Hendersons, the Rogers, the Putmans, your family, I don't know a family in here that hasn't spent a considerable amount of time. Kathy, God,
Both grandmothers.
Yep. Your mom and dad,
You don't
both grandmothers.
talk bad about anybody in Medill because they may be kidding.
Yeah, they probably are.
Amen on that.
I'm my own grandpa.
Someday you have to explain how that works, okay?
I'm Becky Heimer, this is my husband Jerry, and Ronnie was my cousin, and Martha lived just 2 blocks from me, so I saw her quite often, and when I was walking, she was sitting on her porch reading a book, and she'd always say, "Where do you walk to? You're gone too long."
I'm sorry, Jerry, let me say one thing. One of the great loves of Ronnie's life was being at their place, riding horses, wearing Medill Roundup Club chaps, and in fact, they have a picture of him that just got from Mary Ann. He's standing in your backyard with the chaps on and his cowboy hat, posing. That was one of the great loves of his life.
And he was shooting turtles at Mother and Daddy's farm.
Yeah, that's what Charlie was telling me. I never could figure it out. And
I didn't.
you knew the story.
He loved to shoot turtles. He would hitchhike from Murray State over to Medill and shoot turtles all day long out of Mother and Daddy's
So you wonder where you get your marksman desires from? Your grandpa loved about shooting.
It explains.
Jerry,
My greatest memory was after we moved back to Medill in '95. Of course, we lived down the street from Martha, and I remember a lot of times I worked the late night at the peanut plant, and whenever I go to work about 10:30, I'd go by, her porch light was on, and she was sitting out there reading.
Yeah. Charles, there's books and books and books. When I went down to visit, I'm thinking to myself, my Uncle John's place is nice and it's cozy. It's not elaborate in any means. And Rita says, well, you'll stay here in your mom's room while you're here. And I said, okay. And I walked in the door and I pushed the door a little bit. And there's these bags and boxes of stacks of books. And I went and I said, Mom, I said, there's a lot of books in there. Would you like me to bring up some of them? And she said, nah, I've read them all. I was like, there's enough books in there for one person over a lifetime. And she was only there for like a year, and she'd already read like 65 novels. Ah, Mrs. Rogers. Come some honey down.
Sandra?
Yes. Yes. You have to stand.
Martha was like my second mother.
You okay? She was very accepting of me the first time that I met her. And Chris happened to write me down, and I guess he wanted his mother to know before he asked me to marry him. And I was a single parent at the time. Tristan was 3 years old, and she welcomed us in open arms. And, you know, from then on, she was there for my other kids. She was there for birthday parties. She would never forget to send a birthday card. She was there for baptisms, confirmations. She would go with us to church, Easter and Christmas. There wasn't anything Martha missed. You know, all important events in our life, games, soccer games, concerts, graduations. I mean, she was there because my mother couldn't be there for me, but there was nothing she missed. And she was good to me and the kids. She had a funny side, of course. This last time that I saw her, we went to try to pick out a dress for a wedding. And I knew she wasn't feeling good at that time because she had a hard time at the mall. She would stop and sit down. I said, Martha, are you okay? She said, yeah, I'll be okay. So I took her to Dillard's, and she's so funny. The first thing she says to the sales lady, she says, do you have anything for fat ladies like me? I just looked at her and I said, oh my God. I said, yeah, they had a section for big people. And anyways, she made it a point on that day to go and visit my daughter Kelly, who works at a coffee shop. And she said, let's go visit Kelly, let's go visit her. So I said, okay, so I take her, and you know, Martha's a little loud sometimes. She walks in and she's looking around, and it's like a cafe type shop. So she says to me, she says, why are those people on their computers? Why don't they just leave and make room for other people who want to sit down? She didn't understand.
Why don't they?
You know,
I'm still mad about it.
So she sits down and, she buys one of everything. And she tells the person behind the counter, one of those, and one of those, and one of those. And so she had this big box by the time she left. So after that, she made it a point to visit Kelly at her apartment. So Kelly, she did visit Kelly before. So, and she told my kids always how proud she was.
And it's interesting because when my mom and Sandra's parents got to meet for the first time, her mom and my mom hit it off, and when they were there at the same time, none of us could get a word in edgewise. So the rest of the world didn't exist, just the two of them sharing stories about family and culture and everything else. And my mom was getting ready to come back here for Laura's graduation, actually, had her plane ticket and everything scheduled when all of this happened. But one of the things that I remember that one of the last things that we talked about that was near and dear to my heart was she was so upset that she wasn't there. And she had a very special place in her heart for you, Laura. And I don't know, call it God's grace or whatever it was. Sandra has always been my guide, and she had the right of mind when we went to the graduation to film it and take pictures and to actually record when they called her name, and she got to walk across the stage. So when I was there talking to Mom, I said, I have a special gift for you. And she goes, what's that? I said, you remember Laura's graduation? She says, I'm so mad I didn't go. And I said, but you did go. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, I have a special gift for you. And so we went through all these pictures, and I played the video for her of you walking across the stage. And the first words out of her mouth was, that is such a beautiful and smart girl. And I said, yes, Mom, and she graduated with honors with a scholarship to East Central. You should be very, very proud of her. And she wanted you to know that she was very proud of you, and she was there at graduation. So, comfort yourself in that. Sandra has always been my spiritual guide, my partner, my best friend. And I'll tell you, when this hit me, it very hard because Charlie and I had worked very closely to try to get her back today, actually, in the city. Charlie had set up a grand plan, as he normally does. You know Charlie, he's always got something going on. To go out in the motorhome and take his son and daughter-in-law, who are both critical care nurses in Tulsa, to pick her up. We had arranged for the staff to do all the things they needed to do and actually bring her back here. We had all of the things in the city ready for her and everything else like that. And when I was talking to my mom the last day, we were watching some Josh Turner videos and things and eating lunch. And I told her, I said, you know, we've got this plan together and we're going to get you back to Oklahoma. And she said, no. She said, I'll be out of here in 3 weeks. I said, Mom, I said, I appreciate your gusto and your vim and vigor, but I said, I think, you know, the mobility-wise, it's going to take us a little while to get you back on your feet. So, but when you do, get you right back down here to Florida. And she said, no. She said, I'm going to be out here in 3 weeks. And I said, okay, we'll just leave it with that. And I left, and that Sunday night last weekend, the week before, they called me and said that she was running a fever and that she had some infections. She had caught a little bit of pneumonia before I left. And they were worried about her heart rate and her blood pressure and the infections that they couldn't get under control. And they were going to send her to the hospital. I said, well, that sounds like the best thing for her. Get her out there, get her back up, get her healthy, because we're coming to get her. And within 40 hours, the good Lord had a different plan than I did. So it was a very quick turnabout of events. She was very comfortable. She was very quiet and at peace. Sandra and I actually got to speak to her. In the end, we were able to say our goodbyes. We expressed our love from everyone to her. And we were able to make sure that there was a priest, and she was Catholic, there for last rites. But the nurses that were there on site at that point in time said that she was in a sleepful state, at peace, and she knew. And then Sandra, being my guide and everything, brings a Bible out of the back room later that day, and she says, you know what this is? I said, it's a Bible. She goes, yeah, do you know whose it is? I said, probably my dad's or something. And she goes, do you know what's in it? I said, the Word of God. She goes, okay, Mr. Smart Guy. So she opens it up, and in the middle of it, there's some pages, and it lists all of the birth dates of all of my dad's brothers and sisters. And then on the next page, it lists the names of the great-grandparents. And then on the next page, it lists the death, and it says Ronald L., 11 June 1967. And she died on 11 June 2014. And I thought that was just really, you know, one of those things that she used to call a coinky-dink. And I thought that's interesting. And then me being a little bit of a mathematically challenged guy myself, thought to myself, there's something really odd and strange about that. And so I stacked 2014, 1967, did a little math subtraction, I can do that at least. And realized that it was 47 years. And then looking at the numbers, all of a sudden realized that 2014 ends in 4, 1967 ends in 7, and stacked over, and that's 47, that's 47 years. Another coinky-dink. And I am a firm believer. My mom knew a lot of things that she didn't always tell people. She was connected spiritually in the world and to family and her sisters in ways that I could never explain. But ever since then, I've gotten some really strong coinky-dinks to let me know that she is with Dad, with Grandma and Grandpa, and everyone else that we've lost that's gone before us. And she wanted everyone here to let you know that she is very grateful that she could bring the family all back together, and in her own forceful way. It may not be under the best of circumstances, but by golly, you're here and she did it. And that she will miss us all, but she will see us again. You know, and until then, for us now, to move past the morning and celebrate our life, have some friendships, some cheers, tell some stories, laugh a little. Sandra's brought some photo albums that we're going to pass around. And I would be remiss if I didn't invite and introduce Mr. Mark Meeks, who some of you may know or may not know. His family has owned the barbecue pit for years and years and years. And now he is the king of the captain of the ship. And when we started talking about things, Greg and him are really good friends. His brothers and sisters grew up with me at Medill playing in the band, and Mark stepped forward and said absolutely it would be an honor for him to come out, and one of Mom's favorite places to eat at Medill was the barbecue pit, if you didn't know. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for helping us celebrate.
I got one more thing. Chris bought me a go-kart.
Oh, geez.
I ran over Mark with it.
Continue to cheer and the laughter.
It's hard enough to, it was supposed to be a two-seater, but, you know, Greg's pretty much takes up two seats. So I just got out, I'm a little bitty old dude, I'm holding on, and we're just going, and, well, let's just say I fell off, and he just kept going.
This food's not payback.
Only Greg this way.
Last weekend.
No, I got so much trouble over that go-kart though, because it was some money that Mom had held for me after Dad passed for college and so on, and as I got to be a ripe old age. Come on in. But you know, as you step through the door, you have to introduce yourself.
I'm JJ.
And Byron is
Dad, these are my cousins.
Yeah.
from the south side.
My dad and Greg's dad are first cousin.
Byron, did you get her bailed out?
I did. She's been unjustly accused.
Welcome, well, come on in. And anyways, Mom said, you know, it's about time for you to handle your own affairs. Here's a little bit of money. And of course, as a young man in college, I said, money? No. And I thought to myself, I said, you know, I really love my brother and you know, I should do something nice for him. So I went to little Sears over there in Durant, bought this brand new go-kart, loaded it up in the car, brought it home, unrolled it. My mom goes, what are you doing with that? I said, I'm giving it to Greg. She goes, oh, no, you're not. I said, well, too late. I already spent the money and they won't take it back. So she got angry about that. He gets out, starts riding it around the yard, around the yard. Everything's going smooth. He's built this dirt track. He's sliding around the corners. He gets a bright idea that he's sick and tired of going counterclockwise, so he's going to go the other way. So he comes flying up and down around the other side. As soon as he hits the corner, the tires bite. And Greg and Clark go end over end.
Oh my God.
About 6 times. And he lands face down on the ground, go-kart on top of him. I run over and pull it off to the side, and he's not moving. My mom comes out, and she's looking at the cart, looking at him, and looking at me. Looking at the cart. He finally rolls over, grunts, and gets up off the ground, says, I'm okay. And she looks at me and goes, that go-kart's gone. And Greg jumps in it and went, and he sure was. So please, continue the stories. Come on up and have some food. Yes, ma'am.
Of course, you know, the Henderson family is a big family. The kids all together, and your grandmother, Aunt Ruth, was very good.
Went through ride horses, dress up, you know.
I had the bond. Your grandmother must have been over to the house. They loved each other. They loved their own daughter.
Yeah, Grandma definitely had a very special place in her heart, and it's funny you should mention it, because that exact same bond existed between Sandra and my mom. And matter of fact, when early on, when we got married and in our relationship and stuff, she told me a good piece of advice. She said, I just want you to know I think the world of her, and if you hurt her, I'm going to kill you.
That's